Hey guys, welcome back to Fast Keto. I'm so excited for this episode. It is featuring Krystal Sikes. She's known as the Lady Savage, and she is the wife of Robert Sikes, Robert Keto Savage, and they have been in the keto space for a real long time. They created the Keto Brick, and Krystal has an amazing story personally of getting into fitness and becoming a bodybuilder only 4 years ago and going on to winning her very first physique competition. So we had a great time chatting today. I had such a blast with her, and she shared all her tips on bodybuilding with keto, how to do it, her regular workout schedule, what she eats in a day, her protein, everything. We covered all of it, including electrolyte supplements. All the questions that I had, she answered, and I really appreciated her coming on today. So if you know someone that you think would enjoy this episode, be sure to share it with them. And if you have a moment to leave me a rating or review, it absolutely makes my day whenever I get a new review, and it just means the world to me. So thank you guys so much for being here, and I hope you enjoy this episode with Krystal, the Lady Savage. All right, Krystal, thank you so much for joining us today on the Fast Keto podcast. Thank you so much for being here. How's it going?
Great. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Now, for any of our listeners who haven't heard of you before, maybe you could start off just telling us a little bit about your story, your background, like what brought you to the keto space.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, Robert, my husband, is actually what introduced me to keto. But the reason I started keto is I had a lot of gastric issues. I had been on so many different diets. My doctors had me doing a lot of really easily high sugar items to just get me to eating more. And then Robert kind of just said, you're gonna give yourself diabetes, so you should probably stop doing this and start doing what I'm doing. So I gave it a shot, and during that time, my doctors had also suggested I get a little bit more active. So I kind of started keto and bodybuilding all at the same time. And then I just kept going and going and going. And then, Robert, he's always done bodybuilding for several years. And so I kind of just ran with that and decided that it was time to build my body up rather than tearing it down.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. So you actually got into, how long ago was that you started doing the bodybuilding?
So I've been doing it for, I guess it's been 4.5 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That kind of inspires me. That you can do a lot in 4 years, clearly, because you've got an amazing physique. So that's really exciting for people.
I've been seeing you post a few things here and there about like trying to put on more muscle and stuff, and I got so excited for you.
Thanks.
I love that aspect of things, and I think it's so much fun. And yeah, it's pretty amazing, especially when people say you can't build muscle on keto. I'm like, I've just proved you wrong.
I love that you and Robert both, you have even competed, and that really shows. Obviously you can do it on keto, and it's funny kind of now when people challenge you on athletics and sport. I just had this cyclist on the show, and people are still like, how can you cycle without carbs? Like, how can you do anything without carbs? So I think that it's really cool that you guys did that. So tell us about how you went from starting to actually competing.
Oh my goodness. So the first little bit of my keto journey, my bodybuilding journey, was honestly just to get healthy. I had a lot of body fat, but I was very skinny. And so I knew I had a ways to go before I could ever compete. And I had watched Robert compete in 2 different shows prior to actually deciding I wanted to compete myself. So I watched the other girls on stage on show day, and I thought, I could probably do that. And I gave it a shot one time, and I thought, okay, this is not going to work. This is not the right timing. So I just let my body build a little bit more muscle and get a little bit more used to a higher amount of calories so that I had something to cut down from. So I kind of just told everyone, I'm not going to compete, so stop asking me. And as soon as everyone stopped asking me, I was like, okay, now's my time. So I just needed to prove them all, that they just gastrointestinal issues and decided, okay, now's the time I want to compete. And so that I don't even know what it was that all of a sudden was just, it's time. But I felt good. I felt like I was healthy. I felt like I finally had enough energy and I was good to go. So I was ready to take it to the next level and challenge myself. And I knew I had I had always built my body in the bodybuilding style. You know, if you look at a bodybuilder, a female bodybuilder, or a figure competitor versus a CrossFit athlete, their body types look completely different, and they're both wonderful, but they're just completely different body styles. So I had built my body toward the bodybuilding style, and so finally I just said, okay, it's time. I'm going to do it. And Robert had been doing it. I had watched him do it full keto, and I said, there's no other way. So let's do it.
Yeah. And I guess, the other component that people probably doubted you on it is moderating protein. Like, how can you build any muscle if you're going to be moderating protein? So that's pretty cool that you guys are able to do it, and you were also able to kind of document it for people to see. So when you started off, you were saying you were like a normal weight. Maybe you said you had normal weight, but you had maybe more body fat percentage. Do you know like where you were when you started and sort of the progression?
Yeah. So I'm a 5'5", and I was I think I was like 120 something, which isn't very light for a lot of people. But I had body fat, but I looked really skinny. So not like an unhealthy skinny, just thin, just like a regular thin girl. And when I started building, I actually started it was like I was gaining weight, but I was getting leaner. Because I was still using my fat for fuel, and I had just switched my whole energy source. So I was putting on muscle and still losing body fat, and that's when we kind of really upped my calories because I was switching, but I also wasn't eating enough. So I started lifting heavier, and I started eating more, and I definitely increased my weights, my body weight. And so I just built and built and built. And then when I actually decided to do my bodybuilding competition, I started at, I believe, 147. And then I cut down and got to 127. And 127 is what I competed at.
And do you know like what the body fat percentages were at those?
Yeah, so I think I started my, I did a whole YouTube section on this, and it's on an older channel that I don't really use a whole lot anymore, but I left it up there just in case if you wanted to revert back to that. But I believe I started at, I think it was like 24% body fat, and then I cut down, and we were using an in-body. We didn't really have a DEXA scan in our area, so it was a little bit harder to know for sure. Yeah. My in-body ended up saying that I got down to, I believe, 13%, but Robert and I truly believe that it was more about 15 or 16%. So, it was definitely a healthy body fat for my competing for the first time.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And just because I don't really know a ton about this stuff, so was this like an IFBB? Was it like the bodybuilding bikini?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, there's a couple of different levels. So bikini would be there's the levels start with the muscle mass. So bikini, you can have a little less muscle mass, but it's just you're building it in different areas of your body. And then there's figure, which is what I competed in. And then you'll have women's physique and then women's bodybuilding. They also have a fitness class, but that's a little bit newer. So I did the figure. So it's kind of just like medium muscle mass, but you have to have like a larger lats. You have to have, from head to toe, everything needs to look symmetrical, and you get a little bit more lean than a bikini competitor would get. So you're kind of just like right there in the middle of the road. You're not huge, and you're not, you're a little bit more far along in your building journey. I didn't compete in that IFBB because that is more of a professional. You have to become a professional bodybuilder before you can step on that stage. But you can do, oh goodness, and of course I'm not going to remember what it is. But I ended up competing in a natural bodybuilding competition. You'd be surprised the amount of women who are actually taking steroids or something to help them build a muscle or get a little bit leaner. So I wanted to really jump into a very fair game. I won't supplement like that. So I definitely jumped into the NANBF Federation. There's a bunch of them, but that's the one that I competed in.
That's so cool. And I have so much respect for you for doing that all naturally, because there's a lot of performance and enhancing products and things out there that you could definitely use and rely on.
Yeah.
So how did your first competition go?
So it went amazing, honestly. So of course if your calories are being cut and you're increasing your cardio and your workouts and things like that, you're going to feel exhausted, and no matter what you're eating, whether you're eating carbs or keto or whatever. But it was amazing. Like the show day, I could not stop smiling. It was like ear to ear smiles. I was out there trying to help the other girls make sure that their suits were put on correctly and everybody looked good. And it seemed like everyone was kind of like in their zone, but I was just like, let's do this. I'm so excited. And I think I just went into it not having any expectations and just kind of ready to experience the whole process, because I had watched Robert go through it. I had watched some friends go through it, and I thought, okay, this is my time. And this sounds weird, but I tend to do a lot for other people, and I tend to support other people more than I am like, it's my thing and I'm going to do it. So I felt like at that time, like this is the first time I'm doing my thing. And so we stepped on stage and I competed in 2 different classes, and it's the novice class, and then there's the open class where you compete against everyone. And I did end up winning first place, which was so absolutely amazing, especially when you walk in with 0 expectations and you walk out winning. There could be no better way to end that. And Robert happened to propose to me while I was on stage. So
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I remember that now. Wow. That must have been like just a pretty high moment for both of you.
Yeah, it was surreal. I just kept thinking like, this is actually happening. This day totally just happened,
Wow. That's amazing. And so cool that you won just like on your first attempt, and you were doing it in an unconventional way. I mean, people swear by their methods, the methodology, like you have to do it this way, and this is how you go into your prep and everything. And the fact that you did it like with your own macros and all that is, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was very exciting. And people asked, because you have a period of time where you can kind of write out your thank yous, and they announce it while you're walking out and doing your posing. And I said, thank you, Keto Savage, Robert Sikes, my, at that time, boyfriend. And so people were like, Keto Savage, so you do keto, you do the keto diet? And so people were asking me backstage, like, what are you doing? And then they're even more interested because you win. And so they saw me eating fat bombs and things like that, and they're back there eating candy and all that. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to pass on that. What are you going to eat tonight? I'm going to have a steak. Yeah.
That's what that would be on the first on my list too.
Yeah. We actually went out to like a Brazilian, I guess like steakhouse type thing, and it was so good.
That's amazing. So how did things go for you after the competition? Like, did you decide to keep competing or like transition to something else?
Mm-hmm. So after the competition, I did not keep a very close eye on myself. And when you're extremely low calorie, you tend to want to go crazy when you do get to eat food. And so I definitely did that. And I let myself kind of spiral. And I led myself into having an eating disorder of binge and purge. And I'm glad that I went through it just so I can help other people. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity, even though it was terrible while I was going through it. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done to try and get myself out of it. I feel like I have that story now that I can share, and I can help other people make it through that And it's way more common than you think. And I hate that for everyone, but I think, having people who are willing to talk about it is going to be key. So anyways, I kind of dealt with that for a while, and I said, I'm just going to put these calories to use, and I'm going to just keep building and building. And I think I finally decided it's not really what I want to do right now. I really want to move forward in lifting heavy and doing all that kind of stuff. So I looked more into powerlifting and doing strong woman. And then I just kind of went through a crash period, and none of this is because I went low calorie. None of it's because I competed, but I ended up having some like hormonal neurotransmitter issues and adrenal fatigue. We have several businesses, and I was working out really hard. I was just putting my body through a lot. So I had to go through like a healing process, and Robert and I got married, and then now I'm kind of just on this path of eventually I want to have kids. And so it's time to just build my body to be the best childbearing thing that I can. And that's really my goal right now, is to just live a healthy lifestyle and let other people know that like you can live a healthy lifestyle. You can pay attention to your nutrition, your body, your fitness, and also live life as well. You don't have to do one or the other. It all works together.
That's awesome. And that's a really wonderful goal. So what would you say your approach to eating is like now? Is it still like relatively keto? Is it like, have you changed things up or tried carnivore? Like what have you been doing in that?
So I definitely don't do carbs. I don't do carb ups. Even when I was binging, it was all on keto foods, even on meats and things like that. So I've always kept it keto, and I think that's honestly what's helped me so much. But now I stay keto. I eat a lot of meat, but I enjoy my vegetables or having a little bit of yogurt with some MCT or collagen or something like that. So I don't particularly stay carnivore. I also love we make a food product. So I love our bricks. And so it's hard not to eat that. So I usually keep my carbs below 20 grams a day. I just don't really see a reason necessary to go above that for myself. My calories are super high. Well, not super high, but I eat between like 23 and 2,500 calories a day, and still just trying to build. I want to build up my body, and I want to keep my metabolism high. And there's not really a reason for me to cut down right now, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, your keto bricks are amazing. I know a lot of people who use them with their children for therapeutic ketosis, and it's so cool that you've been able to create that and get it out to so many people who need those kinds of like really healthy products. Tell us a little bit about it if anyone's listening doesn't know what a keto brick is.
Yeah. So it's a 1,000-calorie meal replacement bar, and it has ketogenic macros. All of them have at least below 16 grams of total carbs. A lot of them have only 11 or 12 for the 1,000 calories. And it's a really high fat with moderate amount of protein, and then the low carbs. And we actually made that to help Robert with his bodybuilding competition. To have something dense and that's going to be filling, but not going to bloat you and really cause a lot of bloat in your gut. When you're stepping on stage, you need to be lean and your stomach needs to be tight. So that's actually the reason we made it. And we made it, for other athletes, people who like to hike and run and all of that, and just need something really quick on the go. But it ended up that everyone liked them. And, a lot of people who are, not everyone, but a lot of people who are in the ketogenic space have used them, melted them down into little fat bombs. And then, like you mentioned, like for people with epilepsy, we actually have a guy here local who is using them on his son who has epilepsy. And it changes our mindset. Like it just makes us so grateful. And so just so excited that we have this opportunity to provide something that we never knew was going to change lives. But it's like every week we're hearing something new, another story. And it's been absolutely amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, congratulations on the success you've had with that. And I know it's just going to keep growing and growing. So
thank you.
Awesome. Now, when you were doing your prep, is it a 12-week period or so? you had that, and then you have like your sort of peak week, which is the week right before, if I understand it correctly. Was there anything that was really different doing it with a keto approach versus a regular sort of carb and fat approach?
Yeah, so I actually did a really long prep because I started at a little higher body fat than I would have preferred. I actually did a 22-week prep, and we like to take things a little bit longer, and that is to really help protect and prevent any hormone damage, any metabolism damage, just taking things really slow and very controlled. And you're starting from a high calorie, and then you're slowly tapering it down. So as you're doing it slowly, you're just going to naturally lose a little bit more while protecting those areas of your body. So we did do that. So it was a little bit longer than a lot of people like to do, but very, very worth it. And then for a peak week, that's a very exciting week because you're going through so many changes. Your body changes drastically because at that point we introduce keto caloric refeeds. So it's all ketogenic macros, and we incorporate the refeeds right before show day. So for a couple weeks prior to that, you are kind of practicing around and making sure that you're going to look best the next day. So the week leading up to it, a lot of people who are on a carbohydrate-based diet, they will have a lot of, they will actually restrict their water. And your body's made of so much water, you need that. And with keto, your body really just flushes it out. So I was still drinking a gallon of water every day and not having to consider, maybe cutting it out or whatever. The day before the competition, we increased my sodium a lot, and my body can handle a lot of sodium. You definitely can on the ketogenic diet as well. But the weeks leading up to it, I kind of found where my sweet spot was with that and what was going to help me get vascular and fill up my muscles without bloating me. And then, and we just kept my water the same, which felt amazing because most people are trying to dry out, and you really just don't need to have to do that with keto.
Sounds so dangerous when people are doing that and like cutting their water intake down and all that. I've read also that people will do like they'll cut their sodium in half or something a few days before they go on stage, and they keep the water intake up if they're doing it in a maybe a safer way.
Mm-hmm.
Water intake up, but just reduce the sodium by half.
Right.
So I was curious how that would like maybe look different with the keto approach.
Yeah, with keto, I would suggest increasing your salt, increasing your water, or keeping your water the same, I suppose. And just increasing the salt actually helps you to look full, and it helps you to bring in the vascularity into your veins and just look and appear a little bit better on stage. You might do the same thing the day of and kind of just having a little bit of fat and maybe a little bit of protein, just enough to fill up your muscles and make you look full, but not to bloat you or really feel full in the stomach.
Yeah, it just sounds really stressful to be like about to go on stage and then be trying to reach this like perfect like tightness and like, but your muscles are full, but then you're not bloated and like all that. It's just a lot of like manipulation. But I guess, if you're in the industry, like you get it and you know exactly what to do and all that. But yeah, I was curious if it would be different. So you increase your intake instead of lowering it. That's really interesting.
Yep. Yeah. And you feel so much better because, your electrolytes need to be kind of balanced anyways on keto. And so increasing the sodium, you crave that. Like you want that extra salt. So we had anchovies the day before. I had anchovies on my pizza, and it was so good. And I think I had chorizo on my pizza, and it was a keto pizza, of course, but it was so good. And I didn't have to feel bad about drinking the water. Luckily, I don't think I could have done it on my own, honestly, because I wouldn't have known the small little manipulations that lead up to a show. But I had Robert, who had done keto preps before. And so he really, without him, I wouldn't be able to do it. So I'm very lucky to have him there.
That's so great. Yeah. One of my favorite things about keto is being able to salt my food as much as I want. And it just makes all the protein and everything and fats taste so good. And you can tell it's instinctive. It's your body, it's a vital nutrient for the body. So yeah, you don't have to feel so bad about it like you do if you're eating a really high carb diet. That's really cool. So what do you have? Do you work directly with people? Like, what do you do in your day-to-day? What's kind of your process? Like, do you coach people or with helping people to do what you did?
Yeah, so I don't prep people for bodybuilding competitions. I feel like that is definitely a thing that you have to be just right on track with. And I don't feel as though I know the small manipulations that you have to do leading up to a show. So I kind of leave that to Robert. That is his forte. He is the expert, and I couldn't do that job justice. So my favorite is helping people to become healthy, helping people to realize that eating more food is actually not bad, especially females. I have so many females that come to me and they're eating so little. And I just think, how do you expect that your body's going to thrive off of that? So my goal, I actually just started my new website. It's Lady Savage. And my whole goal with that is to build up just a space for women to be able to go and feel safe and feel confident and feel happy and have other women to motivate and push and empower each other. And so I have like this membership that people can be a part of, and we just have our little chats and little blogs and workout tutorials and all of that. And then I also do have coaching on the side. I have the one-on-one coaching, and we talk about nutrition and fitness, as well as the spiritual side of things, or meditation, and just living a full out healthy lifestyle without feeling like you're having to give up one place and give more into another, and just helping people to kind of round everything out.
That's awesome. That sounds great. I'll definitely put a link to that in the show notes here for people. And it sounds like a wonderful service and offering for people to go. I find, as I eat a ton, and whenever I post photos of my meals, people are always like, that's your only meal, right? Is that you do OMAD, right? And I'm like, no, this is like one of several in a day. Like has to be at least double this, like minimum. And it makes me sad when I hear comments like that, or when I see people who are like, this is my OMAD, and it's like this tiny little plate. Because you definitely can. I'm someone who likes to eat a lot. Maybe not everyone does, but if you do like to eat, then it's a bonus to live like an active lifestyle with it. But knowing that you can as well, it's just more so adjusting what you're eating.
Yes. Yeah, totally. And that's the thing, is I get in a lot of calories, but I get it in from whole nutritious foods, and my body's actually putting them to use rather than storing it or excreting it. And then you have to like put those calories to use and move that body, and in whatever way works best for you. It could be a walk 3 times a day, or it could be, whatever is going to work for your lifestyle. It doesn't have to be bodybuilding. And I think a lot of people have that misconception of when they follow someone who does bodybuilding, or when they hire someone that does that, or CrossFit, that person is all about that one thing. And it's really, if you're starting from ground zero, it's just about movement and putting those calories to use, and putting that good nutritious food to use, and getting those hormones to a healthy place, and getting that metabolism to a healthy place. And I think that's just health first, and then fitness and building your physique comes second.
Yeah, one thing I love too is how it's becoming more trendy for women to have bigger, more muscled, defined physiques. I remember, like, I used to work out quite a bit, like when I was in college, and I was always like scared of getting like too big muscles, which is like, it's so funny. It's that cliche of women are like, I don't want to get too big. And, it's so different now, and the things have changed so much, and it's really cool to see. And it's really empowering to feel like, well, you can get big and you can take up space. And I think that's really cool that we've seen a little bit of that shift.
Yeah, I love it. I really do. And I think a lot of a lot of women are still kind of intimidated by that. I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get bulky. I am one of those that tries to, like I like the muscle look. I mean, not for everyone, but for myself. Like I like to build myself up that way. And I try. And so if I could get a little bit more defined in certain areas, I definitely would. I try to make strides towards that every single day, but it's not as easy as it seems to, get bulky as some people are fearful of. But
right.
It's a lot of work. It's so hard to go in, day out. So you're not going to get bulky all of a sudden. But I do love that people are becoming to realize that like a fuller, healthy, kind of fit body type is okay as well. I mean, it's totally fine to have whatever body type you want, but I love that kind of fit, thick, healthy it's making a comeback.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you if you have some tips for listeners on, building muscle. What are some of your tips maybe for beginners, people like me, people who are listening who have never really done like a actual bodybuilding or fitness? What would you recommend to people when they're starting out?
Okay, so just remember it was only 4 years ago that I started. So I feel like it's fresh on my mind. So I guess when I first started, I was super intimidated. I was intimidated by the other people in the gym, and so much so that I literally set my alarm for midnight and I would get up and go in the middle of the night. I had a 24-hour gym membership and it was ridiculous. And now I look back, I'm like, why was I so insecure, But just know that most people who are in there are in there to work on themselves as well. And if they are, if they have a physique that maybe you aspire to have or that you admire, they're usually willing to help you. So if you have any questions, like feel free to ask people, because people are usually willing to give you a little bit of time, even if they have to schedule it in later. As far as eating and lifting for the first time, or even just getting active, I would just make sure that you're eating plenty, getting a proper amount of protein for your body, and don't be afraid of the fat. The fat is what's going to give you the energy to go in and do that work. So don't be afraid of that. And I don't know what other, I think it's just
lifting heavier, or like that's, I think the big thing is like, we're always told like lower weights, more reps versus like lifting heavy. Like that to me looks scary. Like when I see women lifting these massive weights, I'm like, I would hurt myself. That I'm going to hurt myself if I do that. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I just heard a woman say this the other day and I really loved it. She said, women should not do anything different than men. And there are people out there who will completely disagree, but or lift at least the same way as men. And there are people out there who will disagree, but I've like emulated what Robert has done in his workouts, and it has worked extremely well for me. And I feel great. And when I was going through kind of healing my hormones and such, I backed off of my workouts a little bit, but it wasn't because I was going too intensely or going too heavy. It was just my body was going through something and I needed to give it a rest. But I am one of those ones that will just go in and lift heavy. Now, lifting heavy does not mean that you have to go in and do a 300-pound deadlift. It just means that you have to go in and do what's challenging for you. So if I am out there lifting, 30 pounds, there could be someone right next to me doing the same exact movement, doing 50 pounds, and I shouldn't feel any less than because I can't lift the 50 pounds, because 30 pounds is heavy to me and I'm still challenging myself. What I like to start doing is just start with a lighter weight and what you feel confident with, and try and do a certain amount of reps, like start with 10 reps, and then the next set try and go up in weight. So if you start with 10 pounds, then the next set go up to 15. See how many you can get done. If you can do 10, great. Then you go on to the next set of weights, and you keep going up until you can't hit 10 anymore, and then you know where your challenge spot is. So that would be my kind of go-to, and just slowly adding in the weights. You don't have to go in there and go crazy with it. Just start with light, start with the light, but but in that workout, try and go a little bit heavier each set that you do.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. That just try to get to a good set in, and then if you're struggling to finish that 10th one or whatever, then you need to like maybe work there before you go to the next one. And
Yeah.
It sounds like you just want to be making consistent progress. It doesn't matter how heavy you're lifting, but just the progress.
Right. Yep. Totally. Yes.
That's awesome. And what would you recommend? I mean, for people who are listening who say they're doing keto, is there anything they may be doing keto, maybe doing carnivore? Is there anything specific that you would tell them that would help them with their workouts? It sounds like they're doing carnivore. They probably have protein covered. But with keto, do you see any issues with people training with the way that people approach keto in different ways?
Yeah. So, my biggest thing is making sure that you're getting enough food, and you're getting your food from proteins and from fats. And I don't find it necessary to get it from the carbs. Some people do incorporate carbs or carb refeeds or whatever. I'm not a big supporter of that. I don't know how else to say it. I just prefer not to. I prefer to keep what has been toxic to my body. I prefer to keep it out. I just don't have a need for it. So making sure that you're eating enough food, that you're getting a proper amount of protein and proper amount of fat. And then also I make sure that I am substituting with electrolytes and making sure to get plenty of water, because when you are working out, you are probably sweating a lot more. You're putting a lot more out. So you need to be replenishing all of that as well. And I notice that if I feel a drop in energy or something like that, if I just take a little bit of salt and put it under my tongue, or just, swallow it in my water, or, there's like other electrolyte powders and things you can add to your drink. Drinking that intra workout is going to be really beneficial and very helpful, I think, to keep that energy going throughout the workout without having to eat pre or post, or, watch your meal plans or meal timing.
Now, what's a typical day of keto eating like for you, and with regards to your workout timing and electrolytes too?
Yeah. So in the morning, we wake up. So we wake up at 3. I know it sounds weird. We wake up at 3. At 5:30, we work in the morning, and then at 5:30 we'll go on a 1 mile walk. We get back, and that's when we'll do our training. And usually intro workout, I will do like a scoop of, they have a Redmond's Relight. I'll do a scoop of that has potassium, magnesium, sodium in it. And I really like the ratios that they use. But you can use, whatever works for you. So I'll usually have a scoop of that intro workout. And then I have, during my walk, before my workout, I will have a cup of coffee. And that's going to just have heavy cream in it. I don't really add anything crazy to that. And then I do my workout, have that electrolyte drink, and then post-workout, we have our crew comes in for the Keto Bricks. So we have a meeting with them, and usually I'll have my first meal around, 10:30 or 11. So I actually go through my workout only having heavy cream and my coffee. And then post-workout, I don't worry about eating immediately after. I don't mind waiting a couple hours, but I prefer to recommend eating within a 2 or 3 hour window after your workout, just to kind of, boost yourself up, let your muscles heal and kind of recover from that workout. And then what else do I do? At 10:30 or 11, I'll have a meal. And that meal usually has eggs and sausage, or Keto Brick, or I do like a little bit of yogurt with collagen in it. I really just enjoy that. And then I usually just have one other meal later in the day, and Robert and I like to pull the grill out at night and have steak or a hamburger, or I eat a lot of chicken. I just make sure that I'm evening out my fat with the chicken. So I'll have it with butter, or I'll kind of make my own little mayo sauce or something like that I'll have it with. And I rarely have vegetables unless we eat out, or unless we're having a get together with some friends or something, but that's not really something that I purchase and make. So
yeah, it's nice to not do that. I don't buy any produce for myself. But I do, like, because it's summer, I've started to make more salads for Pete. And I'm like, so much like washing and chopping and like, I'm like doing all this. I'm like, it's just for one salad that he had. It's so like, my lifestyle is just so simple. I was joking with him the other day, like I made him tacos. And I was like, I used to think this was a simple meal.
How I know.
This is not simple. Like, there's a lot that happens, you know, to make the tacos. Like there's just so much like guac and the salsa and the salad and the shells and the beef. I'm like, this is like 20 steps compared to my just like meat grilled, like done, you know? And
Yes.
yeah, it's funny. It's just nice to not have to do all that like prep and stuff with plants, and not to have a fridge full of like plants that are degrading, like also like salad just wilting, and you're like, I shouldn't have bought that. And
yep.
I just used to have a fridge full of like kale and all these things. I could never eat them all in time, and I just feel like it was so wasteful.
Yes, I feel the same exact way. My dad is in town right now, and he finally gave in, and he's starting keto. So he's here for a few weeks. He's trying to flip all of his health and his life around. And I just went out with him to the store the other day, and we got a bunch of vegetables because, you know, I'm just trying to get him away from like the potatoes and the rice and all that. So I'm like, how can we supplement, and how can we just fill your belly? So we did get a bunch of vegetables, but I was like, this is the most amount of vegetables I've bought, and I cannot tell you how long.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's funny especially if your partner also is like doing a similar lifestyle, and you just get used to it, and that's a normal, and you're like with your parents or like family, and you're like, whoa, like it's just so different. Yeah, especially in our community too, like we're on Instagram, we see each other's meals, like it's just like, and then yeah, you forget that other people eat a lot of plants and vegetables and things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats with your dad. I hope he enjoys it. I have a family member that is just starting now, that I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and because they really need it. And it's so exciting when you're just like patient and you don't like push it on people, but they're like come around. And it seems like at the beginning, like you were saying, the substitutes are really important, like so they don't feel like they're losing all their favorite foods. Like they have those like shifts, those replacements, like you were saying.
Yeah. I never have once pushed my family into doing it. They kind of thought I was crazy in the beginning, and then they finally realized like, I'm not going to change anything about my life because you think I'm crazy. And so I've just been really honestly just living it out and living out my life. And I think they're finally coming around to like seeing a little bit of success that I'm having, and seeing that I'm not killing myself from eating fat and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm so excited about my dad. He's honestly the last person I expected to just like up and change, but he was ready to just turn his life around. And so here we are. We're starting resistance training with him, with some bands, and starting keto. But I took him to the store yesterday, and he was so surprised at all the things that he could have. He's like, I can have that? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can have that too. And it's just surprising. I think people think that it's going to be really restrictive, when really you just get to eat all the things that people told you not to eat.
Yeah, it's really true. Back to your particular schedule, how many days do you work out every single day? Do you do like alternating days? It sounds like from what I've read, like 48 hours of rest between muscle groups is optimal. So how do you kind of figure out like your weekly schedule for that?
Yeah, so I have noticed since trying to heal all the hormones and everything, that I do really well with a little bit more frequent rest day, or a recovery, like a light recovery active day. So we work out, Robert and I work out together, but we'll do 3 days of workouts, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off. So our off days they don't line up the same every day. It's not like every Monday. And my body loves it. Like I've been so thriving on it. So within the first 3 days, I will do a leg day, and then I separate my body parts. So I'll do legs and chest and back, and then I'll have a rest day, and then I'll actually go back to legs because that's an area that I would really like to grow. So I do legs again, and then I'll do shoulders and arms, or, just somewhere in there. But I do make sure that I am separating my leg days and also my legs with back, because you tend to use a lot of like your hamstrings and your glutes when you're doing a back workout, or vice versa, like doing deadlifts or something like that. So I like to at least give myself a day in between doing legs with back and then back with legs, or I don't ever do legs back to back, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
And then we do, so I guess it's like 5 or 6 days a week we're working out. Most of the time it ends up being 6, and then we'll have that one rest day in the middle. But yeah.
What are your thoughts on cardio and for fitness?
I think cardio is wonderful. I'm really terrible at making myself do it. I haven't found that one thing that I just love doing. Last year, I kind of decided, I'm going to just start riding my bike. And I think I just need to get a nicer bike because it's kind of not really working out. But Robert loves to run. Well, he's been running. I don't know that he loves it, but he's been running. I enjoy I go on at least 2 walks a day, just to kind of like get active. But then I would do the jump rope or a little bit of HIIT or something like that. I think it's really important to incorporate it at least a couple times a week. And that's just to keep up with your cardiovascular health and make sure that you are getting in a little bit of activity, especially if you're not resistance training. But even if you are resistance training, incorporate a little bit of HIIT or incorporate a little bit of jump rope between sets or something like that. Just really working on all aspects of health. And I think your cardiovascular system would really benefit from it.
Yeah, I recently just rediscovered HIIT, and I love it because it's so time efficient.
Yes.
You get same results for half the time. And yeah, it seems to there's something about it that feels really good, like just being at your max exertion and then like resting and then like that, like, I don't know, I'm just less boring than a steady state.
Yes, I feel the same way. I really enjoy walking, but when I want to do my actual cardio, I would rather do a HIIT or go do sprints or something like that, where it's just I can get it in, get it done, and get to that maximum effort and then have a little break, and then get to that maximum effort and then have a little break. I really enjoy that. And some people like the longer runs or longer bike rides or something like that. They'll listen to a podcast or whatever makes it enjoyable for you. But I don't think that there's a right and a wrong. I think it's just finding that movement that you enjoy.
Absolutely. All right. Well, my last question is about supplements.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably get this question all the time, but you probably don't do protein shakes and powders, I'm assuming, because you're moderating protein. You're probably still moderating protein relatively like lower, I imagine, compared to like someone, say, doing carnivore or something. But yeah, what are your thoughts on supplements?
Yeah, my protein, I feel like I keep it kind of high, or not high. I usually am between like 68 and 72% fat. Most of the rest of it is coming from protein. It's just because I've found that that's worked really well. Prior to my competition and during my prep and everything, I was at more of an 80%. Even during my prep, I think I got up to like an 83%. But during my building season, I really enjoy having a lot more protein and then using that as a leverage during a cut, using that to cut down. So remind me.
Yeah, so I guess, what do you know how much it is in grams, like, per day, or do you like measure that at all, or?
Yeah, so I always make sure to never go below 120. I always feel best when I'm above 120. And then my real happy spot is about 150 to 160 in the protein. And I'm just really happy there. I don't usually share my macros a lot with people, just because I don't want them to copy it and then think, it worked for Krystal. I think it's really important to find your own happy spot, but that I mean, it took me a while to find out that that was where it was, but I actually started at 80% fat, and then I slowly kept just lowering and lowering, and I just felt better and better. Not particularly better. I just kept feeling good, and my body just kept building muscle, so I kept going with it. And I think if I go much lower than about 60, 69, 68, I just don't feel very good. So I always keep it above that. And then with supplements, I used to drink a lot of shakes. I used to drink a lot of protein shakes, and that was more because I just had so much GI upset that it was really easy to go through and go down without having to do a lot of breaking it down. So I don't really do a lot of it anymore because I'd rather just get it from meat or eggs or something like that. But as far as any other real supplements go, I take a creatine monohydrate, and I just take that regularly for my workouts. Every once in a while I'll take branched chain amino acids, but I really only take that during a cutting phase. And then I supplement my electrolytes. But I try to stay away from supplements as much as I can because I truly like to get my nutrition and my vitamins and minerals and all of that from food. And then, of course, I do like a vitamin D with a K2. And then that's pretty much the length of it.
Magnesium, I guess that's in the electrolytes, so.
Yeah. Yep. And if I'm having any problems like going to the bathroom because of the GI upset, I'll take a magnesium that I'll take at night, and it will just kind of simmer for a while, and then usually in the morning I'm able to go, and it's wonderful, and everything's flowing perfectly.
Yeah, I read that magnesium citrate like draws water into the colon. Something. So yeah, it's really, really helpful. That's my go-to as well. The magnesium calm. I really like that one. But
yeah,
my digestion has really improved so much more doing like a more and more carnivorous approach. I'm not sure why, but yeah, my protein is around similar to your levels. And I just discovered I'm born to eat meat. Like,
there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, everyone's going to have their own like body's preference. And I feel like especially even women, everyone's going to differ so much that you can't just pick a number and go with it. You just got to play with it and have fun with it. And some women just really don't like to eat meat, and they don't thrive on that, and they have 80% fat, and they do so amazing. But I think there is definitely some of us who are putting out that energy, the energy efforts and lifting weights or doing some sort of cardio or something that you can probably afford to have a little bit more protein, even healing hormones and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think playing around with it is so key.
I agree. I have people comment all the time, like, I don't know how you eat that much meat. And I'm like, I don't know either, but
but I do it.
I just fit it in there. But yeah, I definitely find the more activity, like my body just handles it so well. And it's also maybe because I was vegetarian for like 17 years. So I'm like making up for it the last 6, especially now with carnivore. But thank you so much for sharing all of your story and journey and everything that you've been doing. I know it's going to be really helpful for people like me who are wanting to build more muscle, and you know, your physique is amazing. Like, you can tell you really work hard at it, and that you must have your nutrition on point too. So it's an inspiration to know that you only started 4 years ago. Like, seriously, you made my day.
Aw, thank you.
I figured you'd probably always been like this, or, you know, been doing it for like 20 years or something.
Yeah, definitely not. It is amazing what can happen to your body, especially in the first year. When people start, I'm like, just go for it, because the first year your body is soaking everything up, and you will see so much change happen in that first year, and of course the years after, but the first year is just like, you just feel on fire. You feel amazing. So I'm excited for you, and I'm excited to continue watching your journey, and I think that's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here with us today on Fast Keto. And where can everyone find your website, your membership program, and all your info?
Awesome. So everything is on ladysavage.com, and like Instagram is the.lady.savage. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning into the episode today with Krystal. I had so much fun recording it with her, and I hope you get to go check out her new website and her membership program and all of that, because it sounds absolutely fantastic. If you want to try out keto with me as your coach and guide, you can go to ketogenicgirl.com. I have all the meal plans and coaching programs available there, and I would love to help guide you to get the results that you want to see. So until the next episode, I'm wishing you a fat-fueled rest of your day. Bye for now.